Welcome back to our channel, and if you're a first time being here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon in order to be able to get all of our newest videos. Now, on that note, today we're doing something really exciting. We're going to be showing you how to use your laser to engrave a piece of wood and then fill that wood engravement with powder paint, which is basically normally used on metals and whatnot, but it turns out it actually works out really, really well on wood when used properly. So we're going to be showing you how to do that process step by step, how that actually works. And stay tuned till the end because we're going to be having some notes on what went right and what went wrong because, well, it's just not a project if something doesn't go right and wrong, right? So there you go. All right, on that note, let's get to how you do this.
So the first thing that we decided to do was go ahead and really do a deep laser engrave on the actual board itself. This allowed us to get kind of a space where we could put in like the powder paint, or if we wanted we could even put in a solid inlay at this point, but ultimately we were going for the powder paint. But this did take a lot of passes, as you can tell here. After we're done firing it on the laser, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and add in some powder paint. So this is one of those processes you want to really kind of take your time on and get it right. Basically, we want to make sure that we get the paint down into each of the little tiny crevices, especially if you have an intricate design like what we have here with the pea, with the little flower vine looking types of things coming off from it. It's generally better to go and really go over it several times just to make sure that you really get that powder paint in there. And then when you're done, we just wipe off the excess with our card here that you're seeing us use here on the screen. After we have our powder paint and the grooves and everything, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start applying heat. So we want to start our heat gun off on the lowest setting possible. So normally your heat gun is going to have like a setting 1 and a setting 2. So we want to do setting 1 right off the bat and just kind of go around it and just take our time and really warm up the surface and really get that powder paint kind of in a gel-like substance level, I guess you could say, kind of where it's more or less tacky. And then once we get to that point, then we can turn back around and we can put it on setting 2 and we can really cook and bake it in. This will kind of give it a kind of a glossy kind of a look initially, which is really what we're going for. Once that's done, we can just let it cool and then we're off to our next step. The next step in the process is simply hand sanding. Especially if you have one that has intricate details like the one that we have here, hand sanding is normally going to be preferred. However, if you happen to go and dig a little deep and you have to kind of fill in the gaps a bit with that powder paint, you could use an actual electronic sander if you wished. Now, something I like to do on here is give it a high grit sanding, generally in around the 600 range roughly on these types of boards, and same thing with cutting boards too, just to give it a really nice smooth surface to work with. And then once we're done with that, we'll generally throw a little bit of water on to kind of proverbially pop the grain, and then come back through and do some more of this type of sanding. And this gives it a really nice, smooth, slick to the touch kind of a feel, and really shows that quality that you're willing to go and put into your projects. And of course, that's always a positive thing for sure.
All right, so what'd you think? Comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are. Ultimately, I think it worked really well. Now, what we didn't show you in the video, and I always am really big about like, well, let's make sure we show mistakes and stuff like that in the video, but sometimes it just wouldn't make sense to show all the mistakes, so in this case it really didn't. The one thing we wound up doing on there was that we wound up burning just a tiny bit too deep. We probably went down about a good, I'd say probably about a good 16th almost, when realistically we probably needed something closer to like a 32 or a 64th. So I'm having to use a lot of powder paint in order to be able to fill that in, because powder paint basically turns into like a gel and then it hardens into a rock hard finish, which is part of the reason why they're able to use it on metal and it doesn't chip off. So anyway, just be aware of how deep you're cutting. That would be my best advice on that one. maybe a little softer on the powers, maybe a little faster on the speeds, things like that, because it did take a long time to actually cut that out, despite what the video showed. So that's kind of a footnote to remember. The powder paints don't always fill completely, even when you get a good full surface. So sometimes you might need like an epoxy or some CA glue to kind of just put in those like little cracks and whatnot, and that'll kind of help stabilize it out. And it also keeps and retains that look. And if you have a way to make your stuff look a little on the black side, or whatever color it is you're using in powder paint, you can probably get away with that too. So, you know, creativity is wherever it needs to be. But the point is, this stuff is a lot cheaper than epoxy, especially for light inlays, where you're just doing a very thin inlay inside of a piece of wood. So overall, I really, really, really like this method, like a lot more than I'm expressing. We'll put it that way. So on that note, we'll try to leave some links down to this stuff here. This is made by Eastwood Hot Coat. So I don't know if they have it on Amazon, but if they do, I'll throw up a link. If not, I'll give you a little link to their website where you can get a whole bunch of this stuff. I hope this helps you folks out. Like I said, please comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if this is something you're planning on doing or would be interested in doing. So I think that's kind of fun. But in the meantime, don't forget, like I said, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon for all of our newest videos. In the meantime, stay safe in the shop.